We have Hector at last count. We had 712.
Wow.
And so I'll make sure that everyone gets links to, the launch of the virtual platform. I'm just so excited. I can't stand it. Hi, Haley. Haley and Taylor are interns with IDRA. Thank you, Dr. McDaniel. Jackson County we're very excited about Jackson County. Liz and I are very, very excited to be working with them. And Sissy, I've seen you several times. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really kind of blown away by the attendance. The live attendance has been great. Okay, we are at 8 attendees plus you and I, Hector. I think, San Francisco. Okay. I'm from San Diego, so I'm always excited to see a Californian. There's actually like a whole California delegation. I think that besides Texas, California has the most attendees this year, and which is just, again, crazy because I think we've shared that there are 4 regional equity assistance centers. East Oakland, yes, and Houston. I used to teach in Houston. I taught in Jersey Village in Sci Fair. I went to Prairie View. So the fact that we have people live, hours difference, and even in other countries, I'm just blown away. Okay, small world. See, those whole, I say 6 degrees of separation, but I really think we can usually get in the education world down to 3 or 4. So we have San Antonio, Nashville. Haley, I get to go to, I'll be in Metro Nashville next month. I'll be with Metro Nashville at their conference next month. I know Dr. Nicole Joseph and Dr. Rihanna Roby was my mentor in my UTSA program. I love it when we have the smaller groups.
Ruth Garola. I immediately want to. I immediately have the list of the Garolas I know. You're not related to Leslie Garola from El Paso, are you? I'm so ridiculous.
I told you, it's always a small world. Always a small world. Okay. So we're getting all of our introductions out of the way. This is actually on the agenda, but I'm really glad. No, sorry. Hi, Lauren. Yes, Sci-Fair was actually that was the last teaching assignment I had before I moved to San Antonio, and I only left because my goddaughter wanted me to live here in San Antonio. But I loved Sci-Fair. I have several friends that teach in Sci-Fair. Okay. All right, Sir Bojorquez.
Yes. Should go ahead and.
Yes. So I'm going to put up, I'll share the slides. I'm so glad to hear that, Lauren. It was really, it's a great district. Okay. So if we haven't introduced ourselves. So I will start by saying again, I think you've probably seen me ad nauseum. I am Dr. Paula Johnson. I am the director of the IDRA EAC-South, the Equity Assistance Center for the Southern region, which includes the 12 Southern states, 10 states, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the District of Columbia. And we serve school districts. There's almost 3,000 school districts in our region. We can serve any of them. And also higher ed and other nonprofits. We can provide technical assistance and support around race, gender, national origin, and religion, or anything related to those 4 topics and equity. So there's a lot of intersection within education. And I've been at IDRA almost 12 years. I started as a math consultant, and now I am the director of the EAC, and I love my job. And I'm going to turn it over to and he's going to hate that I do this, but I would like to introduce Senor Hector Bojorquez, our Director of Operations.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. It's Hector Bojorquez. Some of you have already met me. IDRA's Director of Operations and Field and Educational Practices. I've been here since 2004, and I'm still every day I'm grateful that I'm here on working on things that I'm passionate about. I used to be a bilingual education teacher, and then did quite a bit of professional development in one of the educational service centers here in Texas. And at some point, I realized that there was a lot of things that I wanted to say that I just wasn't able to say in the places where I was, and all dealing with equity, the increasing privatization education that was happening at the time. And at this point, I am everything that is occurring. I'm very grateful that I made the change to come here 18 years ago. And I just very grateful to be here to be speaking about this particular topic, which Dr. Johnson and I have been working on for some time now.
Absolutely. Culturally responsive schooling, culturally relevant pedagogy, culturally sustaining schooling. All of those things are what we're going to talk about today to provide context. And then we'll also talk about the 4 critical levels of culturally sustaining practices that we have developed together. Hector has a way of turning almost anything you could think of or say into like just beauty and brilliance, kind of all wrapped up. He does. Don't let the face fool you. He is really great at wordsmithing. And so I want to share with you our session map. We are going to talk about the framing of culturally sustaining practices, as well as how it impacts 4 different areas of education from our perspective. And just a little bit of background. When he says that we've been working on this for some time, I began my Ph.D. program in 13 at one university as math education, as a math ed Ph.D. And I soon realized that I did not think that they had the same passion that I do for K-12 education, especially mathematics, which is just my area of expertise. And so I also had this intersectional thought around why I was my friends call me a unicorn. I was like this anomaly an anomaly in the world of math education at the secondary level. And so that's what I wanted to study. And I didn't think that school could help me. So I transferred back to UTSA, and that's exactly what I got to do. And so some of this work began where the themes just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And we had talked about years ago, we started at implicit bias, explicit bias, cultural competency, cultural mastery, going through that whole continuum. And we just keep evolving our thinking around it and where the meat of it, the heart of that work truly is. And that's how all of this continues to evolve. And so I just wanted to bring that to light, in that, as Dr. Huerta said this morning, we're continually learning, and we cannot stay fixed. We have to continue growing in this work. And so this is everything we do today is not the end all be all. It's not set in stone. We should continue to grow and learn from each other and develop ideas around this. But we just wanted to, kind of set the stage for the conversations we'll have today. And like I said, it's going to be very interactive. We are now at 11 attendees, Hector. So after we go through the first part, I really think we should just go ahead and move into one breakout room. And so just be prepared for that.
Surely. And before we move into our next piece, I just want to give a brief context. When we speak of culturally responsive pedagogy, culturally sustaining pedagogy, culturally relevant pedagogy, and as Dr. Johnson has just mentioned, all of these are terms that have been happening since 1995, when Dr. Lassen Billings first started talking about it. And one of the things that has happened possibly in the past 6 years is that the research and literature around it has tried to either put it in a framework, in a different framework, or in a framework that allows people to identify practices, that allows people to put it into practice. And it really is a very growing field. There are many scholars that are working on it, both from a leadership level, from a pedagogy level, from all sorts of places. And a lot of what you'll see here is our attempt at first at taking these all of this literature and all of the practices, literature that's based on practices, not just theoretical, not just a theoretical perspective, but actually based on practices, and try to put it in a way that practitioners can actually look at something and say, this is culturally sustaining, culturally responsive. So as we move to the next part, now we'll do our we've always loved to have people participate deeply and think deeply about what we do when we do this, when we've been doing this face to face. And we always have like gigantic sticky boards, gigantic post-it notes everywhere where people will stand up and actually write things. Since remote learning came into being, the closest thing we've had to that has worked fairly well has been Jamboards. I think we're going to be evolving into different ones, but this is still pretty cool for the moment. So the Jamboard.
I sent the link already.
Yay! Okay.
But we can do a co-browse so that we can see it
what
live.
I'm about to do.
Okay, I'll pull it up.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Pull yours up. Maybe yours will be faster. Yesterday mine was a little bit sluggish.
Here it comes. And everyone is invited to use the link in a separate tab that you can open live, and then we'll be able to view it in one space here.
Yay! And throughout the session, I'll make sure to share some extra PDFs and literature that I found, Paula, for people's as a friend of mine likes to say, edification. So they'll have extra articles, because I know we all love. Well, that's what we spend our summers doing as teachers, reading articles.
There are people like that.
Mm-hmm. So our first question that we have here is just to let us know everything that you know or think you know about culture responsiveness and culture responsive pedagogies.
I just told them they're pros. They're already in there.
Oh, okay.
So, and you don't have to, we'll be able to view any page. So don't feel like if one page gets filled up, then just move on to another page. I think 8 of them. So we're good to go.
Some of y'all that have been in my other sessions know that I really like to talk. So I'm going to be quiet for a couple of minutes so y'all can do this.
It's also okay to say that you're not quite sure about things, or ask a question. This could also be what's one thing you'd really like to know about culturally responsive pedagogy? Oop. We're all trying to move things at the same time. Give me just a second. We can cover this, so it's okay. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Is anyone on the other pages? No. Okay. Okay, I think that's a good start.
Okay. Dr. Johnson, would you like to go first?
Oh, we got a new one. Hold on.
Oh, cool.
And I would +1 all of these, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're done. We can wrap now, right? All right, it was great having you. No, just kidding. Sorry. My silliness is coming out because we're close to close. And it's been a very long week, very exciting. And all my adrenaline is slowly seeping out through my brain. Oh, let's fix that one. Okay, so. Oh, wait. Oh, very interesting. These two are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Let me move this real quick and put this up here. Gosh, these are so good.
Wow, yeah, very nuanced.
Very. These are wonderful. So that's I'm not impressed. I'm excited that the topic has become much more widespread and discussed. So the one that is striking me the most right now is this one here. cultural responsiveness is about empowering students in their identities, because that is pretty much where a lot of my research has fallen. And you'll see that kind of in the lit review that we'll share with you later, is all about developing student identity through culturally responsive practices to help them, find success in everything that they do. And it's that whole power of yet mentality. So cultural responsiveness is not fixed. It is something that is continuing to, I keep saying evolve, but it really is. But the fact is, it's really about student identity. That's where it comes. That's what it comes down to. Hector, I need you to take over. I need to jump to something real quick.
Surely. This is all of them share quite a bit of the same as far as making sure that it is child centered. I like the one here where it says, since culture is everything, culture responsive is about educating the whole child, all their intersectionality, and being responsive to their learning needs. We see the word intersectionality repeatedly as it relates to the multiple identities that our students bring to our classrooms, and it's it does not. It's important for us to kind of remind ourselves that that very notion of being that aware of our students' multiple identities is something that is still fairly new in our educational system. We were talked about it to some extent, I think, during the mid '90s, but it really started becoming deep into deep practice in the in the early 2000s, and since then, there were moments where at IDRA we had been very much pushing the notion that language was part of those identities, and that the culture that people brought was part of our identities, but it was not a broad broad practice. And we're very grateful for scholars like Dr. Billings, who have become the standard bearers and standard bearer and standard and practitioner of those. And I say make that distinction because very often a standard bearer will just write. Dr. Billings has continued to be involved with teachers and in teacher preparation. So these are all very extremely close, if not definitive, of what those culture responsive pedagogy and practices are. So but right now we are at 12. We are at 12 participants, and as soon as Dr. Johnson comes back in, I'd like to start moving us maybe into a breakout room so we can actually.
Okay.
Oh yes, Dr. Johnson, would you like us to move into that?
I will. I will move everyone into the first room, and
Yes,
so just instead of opening the breakout rooms, I'm just going to move everyone to.
yeah, that's a good idea. That way, we'll have a good. We can start this as a part of a dialogue, since our the way we prefer to do this is interactively, rather than have us be the sage on the stage. You give me the stage, and I will talk forever. So I much more prefer for this to be a dialogue, especially since we are going to be providing with plenty of information. And so, Dr.
I'm moving everyone now. You should see a breakout. Let's see, start. Okay, Fabiola, if you can hear me, I am going to go into the room. I'll check back periodically.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And if anyone else enters, can you just put them in room 1?
Yeah.
If
no
you notice
problem.
they're there. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And I'm going to